Haunted by the curse of Ava Robinson. The sinister truth behind her 16-year vanishing exposed. Claire Thompson stood at her front door, the autumn wind biting at her cheeks. Darkness loomed over Maplewood like an ominous shroud, heavy with the secrets of a vanished past. A flyer fluttered on the lamppost outside her house, frayed and faded. It read, "Missing, Ava Robinson. Last seen 16 years ago." Her heart raced. The chill of despair cloaked her. All at once, she was paralyzed by a memory that felt too close, too real. This wasn't just a ghost story. This was a cry that echoed through her community, a haunting specter that would not release its grip on her. Nights had grown longer since the flyer's arrival, and Claire couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She whispered to herself during sleepless hours, counting each child who had vanished from Maplewood. Emily, her 12-year-old daughter, was battling her own demons at school. The middle school hallways felt like an endless maze, and she clung to tales of vanished children like a lifeline. "Mom, do you think they're okay?" she asked. Claire swallowed hard, the worry knotting her stomach. Her pulse quickened whenever Emily's voice trembled with fear. "Just a story," Claire would assure her, although doubt nagged at her. That very evening, as she escorted Emily home, a man with a rough beard lingered at the edge of their yard, his baseball cap pulled low.
Claire's instinct screamed de danger.
He didn't look like the innocent man everyone said he was. Fear rippled through her as she felt his gaze heavy on her back. "Keep close to me, Em," she ordered, her voice shaking slightly. The man stirred as if sensing her vulnerability, and her breath caught when he took a reluctant step forward. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Time seemed to stand still as Claire's mental state cracked beneath the weight of her paranoia. She reported her fears to the police only to be brushed aside as yet another overprotective mother. "It's nothing, ma'am. Just a man walking his dog." But Claire's instincts screamed otherwise. With every glance through her curtain at night, she saw him edging closer, lurking like a shadow that threatened to swallow her whole. The air inside her home felt thick and suffocating, a prison. The nightmares came next. Dark whispers pulled her into a waking terror. The man in the cap became a demon in her dreams, haunting her with the names of children that no one seemed to remember. Claire paced the living room, panic clawing at her throat. Who could she trust? The same community that whispered about Ava's disappearance swept the others under the rug, their silence colluding with the darkness. Finally, one fateful night, she spotted him again closer now, a malevolent grin spreading across his face, eyes glowing like the devil in the dark. Her heart thundered in her chest, fear gripping her throat. "What do you want?" she whispered, trembling. But the silence answered back a chilling response that ripped her heart from her chest. She glanced upstairs where Emily slept soundly, unaware of the storm brewing just beyond their door. In that moment, the truth settled in like ice in her veins. The past wouldn't let her go so easily. Would she become just another name on a flyer beneath that haunting streetlight? The stakes had never felt higher, and the monster was closing in inside her mind, and right outside her door. Claire could hardly breathe as the ominous figure loomed closer. Her hands clenched into fists, nails digging into her palms. Suddenly, the man turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving Claire's heart racing, pounding against her ribs like a trapped animal. Whispers of doubt curled around her mind like fog, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. "Mom?" Emily's soft voice floated down from the stairs, breaking the tension that hung heavily in the air. Claire quickly turned, masking her fear behind the sweet smile she forced onto her face. Just a dream, sweetheart," she called back, but her voice quivered. As the evening deepened, Claire shut the curtains tight, shutting out the outside world. The familiar surroundings of her living room felt foreign now, almost menacing as darkness cloaked every corner. Shadows danced cruelly in the flickering light from the lamp, stirring slivers of anxiety within her. With every tick of the clock, she felt time weaving a noose around her sanity. "Mom," came Emily's voice again, more insistent this time. "Can we talk?"
I am scared.
Claire took a deep breath, fighting to normalize the storm roiling inside her. "Of course, honey." She hurried to Emily's room, where soft lamplight bathed the walls in a warm glow. But even in those comforting colors, unease lingered. The drawings of children, the rainbows that sprouted from crayons scattered on the floor, felt too innocent against the nightmare unfolding outside. Emily sat cross-legged on her bed, clutching her favorite stuffed animal tightly. "Do you really think it's just stories?" she asked, her innocent brown eyes filled with confusion and fear. "I promisi, Eminência. It's just stories." But silence filled the void left by Claire's words. Deep down, she questioned everything. Suddenly, a loud crash resounded from downstairs, a startling sound that jolted both of them. Claire's blood ran cold. "Stay here," she whispered, her heart hammering as she crept cautiously to the hallway. Every creak of the floorboards amplified the weight of her dread. She reached the staircase, hesitating before slowly moving down. The house felt like a living, breathing entity, each shadow concealing horrors she could barely fathom. As she reached the bottom step, her heart plummeted. The front door swung ajar. No, Claire breathed, fear curling up her spine like icy fingers. Rushing back to Emily's room, she found her daughter wide-eyed and trembling. "What is happening, Mom?" Claire scooped Emily into her arms, adrenaline coursing through her. "We need to leave now." She dashed for the back door, the heavy thud of her heart drowning out everything else. Outside, the cool air pressed against her face, but the scent of autumn carried an unsettling essence, like decay wrapped in neglect. The darkness reached out, wrapping around Claire and Emily like chains. With every frantic step, Claire's breath came out in gasps. She tried to drag Emily along, but the child stumbled beneath the weight of their fear. As they dashed into the yard, a chilling sound echoed behind them. Laughter low and hollow reverberated through the night, twisting her stomach. Claire's heart sank, the agony of realization crashing over her. She wasn't just escaping. They were being hunted. "Mom!" Emily cried, looking back, eyes wide with terror. "No, keep moving!" Claire screamed, pulling her towards the trees lining the edge of their property. The woods felt alive, an abyss whispering secrets just beyond their reach. Just as they reached the trees, a strong gust of wind whipped around them, silencing the laughter, but leaving a lingering dread that took root in Claire's chest. "Where do we go?" Emily asked, her breathing uneven, mirroring the fear coursing through Claire. "I don't know," Claire gasped, feeling the weight of desperation seep into her very bones. "But we can't stop." But as they pressed deeper into the dark embrace of the forest, something shifted. A deeper, more disturbing presence washed over them. An unseen gaze lingered just outside the reach of their flickering breath. With every step forward, the shadows began to swallow them, and Claire couldn't shake the fear that ending up like Ava Robinson was not an if, but a when. Did the darkness have its eyes on them too? "Mom, what if he finds us?" Emily whispered, her voice quaking. Claire tightened her grip around her daughter's shoulders, the weight of their shared terror heavy in the night. What if they were just running towards a fate worse than the one they were escaping? As Claire pressed deeper into the forest, the branches clawed at them like reaching hands, and the whispered laughter returned, louder, more urgent, the shadows beckoning them further into the unknown. But there was no way back now as Claire heard a voice echo through the dark, chilling her to the bone. "You shouldn't have come here." What had they drawn close? What awaited them in the depths of the night? The shadows cocooned Claire and Emily as they ventured deeper into the forest. Each step felt like plunging into a dark pit with no end. Dread knotted in Claire's stomach, tightening with every rustle of the leaves around them. The air chilled, making her breath visible in misty plumes. Mom, I feel scared, Emily said, her voice breaking the oppressive silence lazily wrapping around them. I know, sweetheart, Claire replied, forcing a brave smile. But we need to keep moving. We have to find a safe place. The words felt hollow as they slipped past her lips. Safe? What did that even mean anymore? The woods had morphed into a labyrinth, twisting and turning into something unrecognizable. The laughter echoed again, weaving through the trees like a hungry predator. Claire's skin prickled. Did you hear that? Emily said, her eyes darting around wildly. Yes, but we need to trust each other. Remember what I said? Just stories. Claire couldn't quell the quiver in her voice. Stories said she wouldn't hurt anyone, but what if they're wrong? Tears brimmed in Emily's eyes, wide with the fears only a child could intimate. Who? Claire pressed, her heart hammering. Ava. The girl who went missing. A chill pierced through Clara's core as her mind raced back to local myths about Ava Robinson's sweet, smiling Ava who vanished 16 years ago, leaving only rumors and haunted eyes in her wake. Some said she was taken by the shadows. Others claimed she roamed the forest, forever lost. What if Claire whispered, her mind reeling? What if she isn't just a story? An overpowering gust of wind blew through the trees, whipping at their clothes with feral intensity. For a fleeting moment, the whispers stopped, and silence swallowed them whole, making Clara's heart throb. Maybe we should go back, Emily said, her tiny voice trembling. No, there's nothing left for us there. Claire snapped. The desperation in her voice cut through the fear like a knife. Mom, please, Emily begged, tightening her grip. What if she is still here? The thought echoed in her mind. Ava. The name hovered like a specter, weaving an eerie tension throughout the chilling night. The shadows encroached further, pressing around them as if the forest itself were shifting. Mom, Emily gasped, pulling Claire's attention back to her. Something's watching us. Claire's heart sank as she turned slowly. The forest had transformed. Shadows contorted into figures, a dark mass blotting the way ahead. A whisper curled through the trees where waiting her breath hitched at the sound. The very air felt saturated with dread, alive with a pulse Claire could almost feel. It engulfed her, pulling her deeper into a dread born of terrifying possibility. Suddenly, a pair of eyes flared to life in the darkness, glinting like shards of glass. Claire froze. In those eyes, she saw hunger and something more sinister, a twisted mirth, like the laughter ringing through her mind. Clarity washed over her, stripping the thin layer of courage she wore like armor. Run! Claire shouted, tearing through the brush, dragging Emily along. Each frantic footfall felt like defiance against the darkness. But as they stumbled further, piercing shrieks erupted from the shadows, drowning out their fear. Leave her! A voice screamed, filled with anguish. Stay away! Stay away! Emily cried, her little body vibrating with terror. We're not leaving, Claire yelled back, adrenaline fueling her lungs. But in her heart, doubt gnawed hungrily at her resolve. They were racing towards the unknown, a fate shadowed by a missing girl and that maddeningly twisted laughter. As branches whipped against them, clawing at their skin, Claire recalled the rumors of what people believed happened to those who wandered too deep into the woods. And then, without warning, Emily screamed. The ground beneath them erupted, a dark chasm splitting open ahead, angry and ravenous. Mom! She reached out, her voice piercing through the engulfing darkness as the shadows screamed. Come play with us. With a heart-splitting decision, Claire caught her daughter just in time, hearts racing like wild animals caught in a trap. But the chasm yawned wider, feeding on their fear. What waited within those depths? What pull did it have on them? As Claire battled to pull them back, she felt the darkness reaching. The laughter twisted into a frenzy, and Claire couldn't shake the feeling that something was playing with them, something tied to Ava, feeding off their terror. Mom, they're everywhere, Emily whimpered, her voice barely a whisper. Just before they were swallowed whole, Claire caught a glimpse of something or someone standing at the edge of the abyss. Brown hair, a familiar face. Ava. But before she could process what she saw, A force yanked Emily from her grasp. What had Claire truly awakened as they trespassed? What did they unearth in their desperate flight from terror? Claire's scream echoed in the darkness as she lunged for Emily, but the shadows seemed to conspire against her. A cold wind swept through the chasm, carrying the scent of damp earth and decay, mingling with the heavy tang of fear. Emily's small fingers slipped from Clara's grasp, and the darkness swallowed her whole, pulling her deeper with a mournful wail. "Emily!" Claire cried, panic turning her voice into a raspy shriek. She stumbled forward, teetering on the brink of the opening, desperately trying to grasp at whatever may be left of her daughter. "Mommy!" Emily's voice floated back, distant and distorted, as if she were across an impossible chasm. The shadows seemed to throb with her fear, the laughter intensifying, morphing into shrieks of mockery. "You shouldn't have come here," Claire, a guttural voice whispered, slithering through the air like an ethereal fog. "The forest doesn't like unwanted visitors." With every second that ticked by, Claire felt her resolve crumbling. "What do you want with her?" she shouted, the words tearing from her throat. She searched the darkness, seeing nothing but flickering shadows, desperate to make sense of the horror. "Join us," echoed the voice, each word dripping with false kindness. Play forever. Tremors rocked Claire's body as her heart raced against the growing dread. "You can't have her. It's just a game to you." Claire gritted her teeth, feeling the vile presence invading her mind. A blur of dark hair flickered at the edge of her vision. Was that Ava? And just like that, the laughter stopped, replaced by an eerie silence. The movement drew closer, but she couldn't make out the features. Was it truly the girl from the stories, or something worse? "Mommy!" Emily's cry pierced through the silence, pulling Claire back to her senses. She gripped the ground, digging her fingers into the cold, damp soil as she crouched over the chasm. "Mom, I don't want to be here." "Hold on, Emily. I'm coming," Claire yelled, summoning every ounce of courage deep within her. She kicked off her shoes and crawled inch by inch toward the edge, her heart pounding like a war drum in her chest. But as she peered into the abyss, a wave of shadow surged upward, thrumming with malicious energy. Claire caught sight of other shapes writhing in the depths. Faces twisted in pain, mouths open in soundless screams, the lost souls of those who had succumbed to the darkness, inviting her to join their torment. Gritting her teeth, Claire scrambled back, shaking with terror. "I won't let go. I will find you," she screamed into the void, hoping against hope that Emily could still hear her. "Mommy, I can't hold on much longer." Emily's voice trembled, fragile yet fierce, pushing Claire forward. "Just fight. Keep fighting. I'm coming," Claire shouted. But darkness was clawing at her heart, creeping in, whispering lies. Maybe this was just fate. In that moment of despair, she remembered the stories. The truth behind Ava Robinson's disappearance was murky and muddied with deceit, rebellion against the forest itself. Claire was certain now. Something about Ava was still alive in these woods, twisted by old memories and pain. As she turned, ready to plunge into the dark once more, a chilling gust swept through the clearing. "We have what you seek." The voice rang out again, mocking, echoing.
Come, Claire.
Join the game. A flicker of movement blurred before her eyes, followed by the hushed, eerie sound of whispered laughter, winding around and suffocating everything in its path. Time sloped within that shadowed forest, stretching and distorting her sense of urgency and terror. Something was changing, shifting in the air. A reckoning. Was Ava's spirit leading her to the truth or dragging them both deeper into despair? "Mom, please." With Emily's anguished plea igniting her final resolve, Claire felt the abyss pulling harder. She couldn't let go. Not now. But shadows were beginning to gather around her, melding into one ominous entity that stood at the chasm's edge, its eyes locked onto hers, hungry, restless. Could she face the truth and save her daughter? Or would she fall deeper into the very heart of the darkness that claimed Ava? As the sinister laughter crescendoed, Claire clenched her fists and stepped forward, heart racing. What awaited her in that abyss? Was it the answer or the end? The shadows cocooned around Claire, breathing life into her worst fears. As she leaned into the void, the laughter morphed into words, swirling like a maelstrom. You will never find her, Claire. She belongs to us now. Claire quaked, her mind racing. Every instinct screamed for her to turn and run, yet the sound of Emily's cries pierced her heart like a jagged knife. No, she shouted defiantly, gripping her elbows to quell the rising chill that shot through her bones. I won't leave you. I won't let them take you. With a sudden burst of desperation, she maneuvered herself closer to the edge and peered deeper into the abyss. The darkness seemed to pulsate, each heartbeat echoing a cruel mockery of her love. Fleeting glimpses of figures danced in the shadows. Children with hollow eyes, distorted smiles twisted in eternal glee. Play with us forever, they teased, their voices echoing in her mind. Something flickered at the periphery, a shimmer of light among the shadow. Claire squinted, straining to see clearer. Was it hope, or a cruel illusion crafted by the darkness? Emily, she yelled, her voice trembling with fear and resolve. Can you hear me? Mom.
I am scared.
Emily's distant voice trembled, crackling under the weight of anguish. It echoed back, filled with desperation. Just then, the shadow surged forward, a choking presence wrapping around Claire like an iron grip. She gasped, feeling its weight pressing heavily on her chest. Join us, the guttural voice whispered, a clawed hand reaching out from the darkness, brushing against her ankle, dragging her towards the precipice. Claire could feel the life being drained from her limbs, a cold seep of dread washing over her, threatening to consume her whole. No, get away, Claire screamed, kicking futilely. In that moment of struggle, she glimpsed a figure rising from the depths behind the shadows, a girl with familiar features, Ava. Her face was pale, a ghostly expression tinted with sorrow and malice. Help me, Claire. Ava's voice was a haunting melody, a bitter reminder of the past. You have to let go. It's the only way. She reached out, her fingers curling invitingly. Why did you leave? Claire shouted, battling the pull of the darkness. Her heartbeat quickened as the abyss roared around her. This is not a game. The game was never yours to play. Ava snapped, her voice shifting, a mixture of pain and fury. Protect them if you can. But remember, the forest always demands a sacrifice. Emily. Claire cried out again, desperation fueling her determination, forcing herself to crawl closer, inching toward her daughter's voice. The chilling realization struck her: was Ava a victim or the very architect of this horror? Mommy, please hear me. Emily's wails fluttered in the wind like ghostly echoes, but they were fading fast, becoming one with that sinister laughter that enveloped the trees. Claire's breath quickened. She refused to become part of their game. You have the strength to break the curse, the shadow whispered, coiling tighter. But it comes at a cost, a cost. The words hung heavy in the air, like the stillness before a storm. Anguish gnawed at Claire's heart, swirling with determination. She could feel her resolve shattering, teetering on the edge of panic. What will it take? She demanded, voice steadying even as dread clawed at her mind. Only your trust to bind you forever. The darkness seemed to pulse, waiting for her response, curious, hungry. Claire's pulse raced, a battle within herself. Emily, her daughter, was more than mere flesh and bones. She was hope itself. All at once, the laughter morphed into a chorus of gasps, followed by a deep silence that filled the chasm. As she glanced down into the darkness, a stark realization struck her. If the forest demanded a sacrifice, this was not an end but a beginning, one she might not survive. Before she could speak, the darkness swirled, hurling her back and away from the chasm, pulling her into the frigid grip of fear and uncertainty. Hold on, Emily, Claire screamed, fear electrifying her words, her heart pounding like thunder against the suffocating silence. But what could she offer to save her? The shadows laughed, the forest breathed, and Claire realized the real game was just beginning. Are you ready to play, Claire? As the world around her shifted, Claire clung on, heart racing. What would she be willing to sacrifice when push came to shove? And how much of herself would she lose before she found her daughter? The darkness pressed in around Claire like a thick fog, suffocating her thoughts and blurring her perception. She stumbled backward, gasping, trying to catch her breath against the weight of dread that throbbed in her chest. The trees loomed like dark sentinels, their gnarled branches reaching out as if poised to snatch her away. "Emily, I'm coming," she screamed again, hoping against hope that her voice would reach her daughter. No response came, only the rustling leaves whispering sinister secrets. She was utterly alone, swallowed by the encroaching gloom. Claire started to move, her legs trembling beneath her as if they carried the burden of 1,000 nightmares. Every crack of a twig made her jump. Every shift in the shadows sent her heart racing. "Focus," she hissed at herself, anger taking the place of fear. She had to find a way out of this nightmare, away from the forest that demanded sacrifices. As she moved deeper, she recalled the frantic stories she heard growing up, tales of children vanishing in these very woods, the adults murmuring about a darkness that preyed on the innocent. Had they all been true? A bead of sweat trickled down her spine, stealing her resolve. "Just keep going," she whispered, hands trembling as she fumbled for a flashlight in her pocket, the beam flickering to life and cutting through the shadows. To her relief, the light revealed a narrow path barely visible in the dimness. Desperate, Claire stepped forward, her heart thudding like war drums battling fear. The deeper she wandered, the more disorienting the forest became. Shadows danced just beyond the reach of her light, dark figures darting behind the trees, whispering her name. "They're trying to deceive you," she muttered, forcing her feet to move faster. "Mommy." The sound was faint yet crystal clear, like her daughter's voice had broken through the fabric of the night. Hope surged within her for a fleeting moment before it crashed into reality. It was not just a sound. It was a call echoing through the woods, sinister and sorrowful. "Emily," Claire shouted, each word driven by raw urgency. She followed the sound, her heartbeat ringing in her ears, praying it wasn't another trick. The shadows twisted and morphed around her, chasing her thoughts into deeper despair. As she hurried, the trees began to shift. It was as though they knew her every move, circling tighter, forcing her down a path she hadn't chosen. Panic clawed at her throat. The light flickered again, and dread seeped back into her bones. The deeper she went, the stronger the oppressive force pressed against her, dulling her senses. Then she saw it, a clearing, the moonlight spilling like silver across the ground. At its center stood a weathered stone altar, draped in strange symbols and running with slick, dark stains. Claire approached cautiously, heart racing. "What is this place?" she whispered, the weight of secrets hanging heavy in the air. "Join us." The chorus of whispers surged from the shadows, 1,000 voices melding into one, chilling her to the core. "All who enter must pay. Get out of my head." Her voice rang out, but it was drowned beneath the laughter swelling from around her, the sinister specters emerging from the depths of the darkness. "Your daughter, your choice." Just as the words sank in, a vision flashed before her. Emily, alone, frightened, trapped among twisted figures with hollow eyes staring back at her. "Mom! Help!" The screams were frantic, desperate. Each cry tugged at Clara's heart like icy fingers reaching for her very soul. The darkness pressed closer, hungry and impossibly alive. The altar began to glow beneath the moonlight, pulsing as if it had a mind and a heartbeat of its own. What did it want from her? What would she have to give? Claire fought against the pull of the shadows, her courage igniting. "I'll save you, Emily, I swear," she called out, resolute despite the terror wrapping itself around her. But as the laughter grew, a chilling doubt slithered into her mind. Could she face the true cost of this game? The trees creaked ominously, whispering secrets only they knew. In a moment of fury, she raised the flashlight, illuminating the altar. It shone with a terrible light, revealing the truth inscribed in shadows, a name among others. Her breath caught. "Ava?" The world around her jolted. The laughter erupted into screams, loud and piercing, drowning her in terror. Was this simply a game she didn't understand? And were those eerie shadows watching her daughter's voice just a bait in this horrific trap? Help me. Mommy time seemed to collapse as Claire stepped closer to the altar. Understanding this was not her only choice. What price would she dare pay to save her child? Claire's hand trembled as the name echoed in her mind, like a bell tolling in a desolate graveyard. Ava. Who was she? Why was her name inscribed upon that altar, nestled alongside other forgotten souls? With every flicker of the flashlight, the darkness stirred, shivering with anticipation as if the forest itself hungered for the answer. The altar pulsed, a deep, resonating thrum that sent vibrations through the ground. Your sacrifice. The whispers hissed, a seductive promise lingering in the air. Claire stepped closer, instinctively drawn as images of Emily engulfed her. She could see her daughter's wide, fearful eyes, the endless night closing in. No! Claire screamed, feeling the meaning of the whispers take shape within her. If she looked too deeply into the altar's dark sheen, would she find the way to save Emily, or merely a path into deeper despair? She swallowed hard. There was no choice. She had to know. As Claire leaned over the altar, she was struck by the symbols carved into the stone, twisted messages that undulated like live serpents. They called to her, whispering truths and evoking forgotten horrors. Among those runes, she recognized a chilling pattern, a language so ancient it transcended words. Each letter dripped with malevolence, a pact made long ago, binding the fates of lost children. Join us, they taunted, wrapping around her like a noose. But as fear bubbled within her, another sound pierced through the night. Emily's voice, now stronger, more desperate. Mommy!
I'm scared.
With a jolt, Claire lifted her flashlight, slashing across the altar's surface. The beam illuminated a gruesome sight, a bowl filled with dark liquid that shimmered like a raven's wing. It was thick, congealed, and at that moment, she understood. This was the offering. It felt wrong, horrific, yet underneath it all, a sickening sense of urgency to act. Emily! She screamed, letting the flashlight drop to the ground, its beam spinning wildly as she turned, grappling with the truth. What do you want from me? A shadow flickered at the edge of the clearing. Its form shifted, sharp edges cutting through the air, distorting the surroundings as it glided closer. To free her, it hissed, the voice chilling her bones. The price must be paid. Claire's heart raced, battling the creature's pull. All of her instincts screamed at her to run, to escape this cursed place, but her love for Emily anchored her. She had to confront this dark entity. I will do anything. The shadow stopped, and for a moment, the whispers fell silent, a palpable tension coiling around her. Then, it spoke, its voice a tempest, weaving through her mind and rattling her resolve. Anything? But what is anything? What is your true offering? Would you give your very soul? Stop it, Claire shouted, shaking her head violently. The shadows were closing in, writhing around her ankles, dragging her toward the altar. I want to play your sick games. The laughter returned, a haunting symphony echoing through the trees. Choices have consequences. Embrace the darkness or lose her forever. With a surge of adrenaline, Claire lunged toward the altar, fingers brushing the slick substance. Ava! She shouted, desperate for clarity. What binds you? The shadows recoiled and a blinding light erupted from the altar. Claire stumbled back, shielding her eyes as forms of faces twisted in agony became visible. The revelation hit her like a storm. They were children, each one trapped in the dark web that connected them to the altar, to the forest, to one unspeakable truth. No, no, get out of my head! Claire screamed, her mind clawing for escape. But just as the shadows loomed over her, the beam of the flashlight flickered once more, exposing a swirling void beneath the altar. As it opened wider, a cry erupted from it, a familiar, heart-wrenching sound that chilled Claire to her core. Mom! Help me! The world around her crumbled as the cries melded with the twisted laughter. Claire's heart thundered. This was a trap, she realized, her fate tied to the altar and her rising dread. While Clutching the chilling decision that lay before her, she could almost taste the terror, the darkness tantalizingly close. What price would it demand? And would Emily's fate forever remain entwined with Ava's tragic past? In that moment of reckoning, as shadows pressed in and laughter echoed, she faced the unthinkable. The true cost of saving her daughter could demand the very essence of her being. Would she step into the swirling depths, or find another way before it was too late? The ground trembled beneath her feet, and the altar shimmered ominously. Time was running out. The swirling void beneath the altar pulsed like a dark heartbeat, urging Claire closer, drawing her in with its insidious whisper. "Mom, please." Emily's voice shattered the silence, splintering her resolve and replacing it with dread. "No," Claire gasped, panic surging through her veins. The laughter, dark and sinister, resounded all around her, twisting her heart into knots. "I won't let you take her." She stumbled back a step, the energy of the forest pressing in on her, thick and suffocating. The shadows writhed and danced, their shapes warping grotesquely. Each face, every sorrowful child trapped within the darkness, reflected the agony that clawed at Claire's chest. "Do you think your love can save her?" The voice twisted like a vine around her, squeezing tight. "Love doesn't matter here. Only sacrifice." The altar vibrated violently, the shimmering surface flickering like a broken light. Bright light spilled from the edges as it fought against the dark. Claire felt its pull, her very essence threatened to be consumed. "No," she growled, determination flaring like a flame against the night. In that moment, a sudden clarity washed over her. She couldn't let fear dictate her next move. Emily needed her. She needed to find a way to untangle this horror. Drawing in a breath, Claire focused on the names etched into the altar. "Ava, who are you?" she demanded, her voice stronger now, straining against the terror that loomed. "What do you want with my daughter?" The shadows paused, their dance disrupted. A familiar warmth broke through the cold suffocation, and she felt it, the connection, a bridge that somehow stretched across time and loss. "Emily is connected to Ava," Claire murmured to herself, piecing fragments together like a puzzle. The names whispered secrets she hadn't understood. "Join us, Mommy," a multitude of voices chimed, sweetly sinister. They trickled through her mind, begging her to take a step forward. "Not unless you tell me the truth," Claire shot back, her heart hammering in her chest. "What happened to Ava?" The laughter faded, replaced by the soft weeping of children. "Ava was lost, sacrificed to keep the darkness alive." The shadows pressed closer as if feeding off her growing desperation. "Her essence binds us all. To release her, another must take her place." The implications twisted in Claire's gut like a dagger. To save Emily, she might have to willingly step into this darkness. It was a choice wrapped in dread, a fate that bore down heavy. "Think, Claire," she hissed through gritted teeth. "There must be another way." She recalled the bowl of dark liquid, the chilling offering. Could it be the key? Maybe there was a price worth paying, something to bargain with. "Do it." The shadows jeered, dark hands reaching for her, fingers seeking to pull her into their cold embrace. Embrace the truth, the necessity of sacrifice. A scream erupted from the void, but this time it wasn't Emily. It was Ava, her voice piercing through the cacophony, filled with anguish and longing. "Mommy, the only way to save her is to set me free." A tremor of hope clung to Claire as the altar rippled, revealing a figure trapped in swirling darkness. Ava. Her form flickered between existence and oblivion. Was it really her? Desperation rooted Claire in place. "Ava." The entity's laughter returned, chilling her skin. "The choice is yours, Claire. The darkness awaits. You must decide." Claire's resolve hardened, the terrible weight anchoring her will. Should she trust the words of the lost children, or plunge deeper into this nightmare? The shadows loomed closer, hungry. The altar throbbed, desperate and alive. Each second felt like an eternity. Suddenly, a deep rumble shattered the moment, the forest quaking in anger. "Decide," the shadows demanded, their edges sharpening, hooks extending toward Claire. Heart racing, breaths quickening, She stared into the abyss. Would she take the plunge into this unfathomable darkness to save her daughter? Or could she find another path that didn't lead to doom? Time was slipping through her fingers. The altar shimmered ominously. The void, widening, and then the air crackled. The altar screamed for a choice, a voice louder than anything she'd ever known. The moment of truth pulsed all around her. What would she choose? Claire felt the energy in the air shift, like a storm brewing on the horizon. Every heartbeat pounded an urgent rhythm inside her chest, a countdown to something dreadful. The altar continued to tremble, its surface twisting with dark energy that beckoned her closer, taunting her fears. She could sense the shadow's anticipation, a hungry murmur that echoed deep within her mind. Claire, the voices hissed, their tone weaving through the charged atmosphere like a sinister melody. It's time. No, Claire shouted back, a defiant fire igniting in her spirit. You won't take my daughter. But even as she said it, doubt crept in, clawing at her resolve. Was it possible that Ava's release required something more than just bravery? Could she truly face the darkness? The swirling void swelled, twisting her thoughts and memories until clarity slipped away like sand through her fingers. Images of Emily's laughter, her bright smile, flared to life. It was that joy Claire was fighting to preserve. She took a deep breath, steadying herself against the onslaught of despair. I refuse to sacrifice another, Claire shouted, pushing back against the sinister air that sought to engulf her. The shadows seethed with frustration, dark forms swirling like smoke, their faces shifting in anger. Then watch her fade into the void. The shadows mocked, their tone dripping with cruel delight. Every moment you hesitate, she slips further away. Let us join together, Mommy. It's so lovely here, echoed a sweet, chilling line, reminding Claire of how tempting it could be to allow the weight of pain to disappear if only for a heartbeat. Her mind thrashed with indecision. If she could just close her eyes and relent, surrender to the darkness that twisted around her, perhaps it would all end. She gave a half-step forward, the pull of the ground beneath her growing stronger, drawing her toward the altar. Stop, Claire yelled, reeling back. I won't let fear control me. The shadows hissed in displeasure, recoiling as she steeled her spine, clutching thoughts of Emily like a lifeline. I need to think clearly, she whispered to herself. There has to be another way out of this. The air crackled, and without warning, the forest shuddered violently. Grass whipped around her ankles as branches creaked ominously, weaving together a canopy that swallowed the sun. A blinding flash erupted from the altar, lighting the deepening shadows with a hellish glow. Make your choice. Now. The agonized shrieks of children poured from the void like boiling water, each syllable sending a jolt of raw terror through her. Tears of panic pricked Claire's eyes as they filled her throat, a choking rush of emotion swirling in her mind. Then Clara remembered the offering, the dark liquid in the bowl. It was still seated at the altar's edge, waiting. Could it redeem them both? Could it awaken something neglected, something they could use against this darkness? Maybe I could trade something, she thought desperately. This has to be a negotiation, an exchange. But the shadows swooped forward, claws extended, stealing her breath, her sanity. Don't even think about it. No one leaves this place without paying the price. A primal instinct took over. Claire bolted toward the bowl, heart pounding, breath catching. The whispers grew louder, merging into an unholy chorus of despair. Stop her. She'll ruin everything. The shadows drew nearer, their icy breaths grazing her skin, itching like fire. Claire grasped the bowl, feeling the slick chill of the substance inside. The air thickened, swirling chaos around her, shadows whipped by like angry spirits. What do I offer? She asked, voice barely above a whisper, fear clawing at her throat. Your love, the echoing voices replied, a chorus of dread and desire. Your will to fight to save the world. Around her narrowed to the bowl as she felt the liquid pulse warmly beneath her fingers. What will she'd never seen before? Eclipsed reality flooded her vision. She envisioned Emily's smile, heard her melodious laughter. But was it worth what she had to lose? Gritting her teeth, She hesitated, clutching the bowl's edge. How far would she go to save her child? And then, just as the shadows closed in, the ground beneath the altar erupted in fury. Would Claire sacrifice her essence to unlock a way back to happiness, or risk it all to forge an escape? The void opened wider, looming like a great beast. The choice crashed down on her. Would she drink from the darkness to save her daughter? Or would she shatter the cycle, facing whatever lay beyond the abyss? Moments stretched like threads of spider silk. Time held its breath as she prepared to make a choice that would either save them both or engulf them into the night. Claire's heart raced as she gripped the bowl tightly, its cold surface a stark reminder of the dark choices laid before her. Every fleeting moment blurred with possibilities: save Emily by embracing the shadows or defy the darkness, risking losing everything. The choice pulsed in her veins. "Mommy!" Emily's voice soared through her mind like a beacon, pulling Claire back to clarity. "I'm so scared." The sheer terror echoing in Emily's voice ignited a fire within her. The love she had for her daughter swelled tenfold, drowning out the shadow's taunts. "No!" Claire shouted, her voice ringing with newfound power. "I won't let fear win." She dropped the bowl, shattering its hold over her. The liquid spilled onto the ground, dark as night, corrupted by despair. But it was no longer a vessel for sacrifice. It was a reminder of everything she fought against. The shadows recoiled in shock, their forms flickering like dying embers. "You cannot escape," they hissed, their voices a thunderstorm rolling through the clearing. "Watch me," Claire declared, refusing to back down. She could feel the warmth of hope rising within her, an unrelenting light against the encroaching darkness. With every ounce of strength she had, she stepped toward the altar, determined to uncover the truth behind Ava's hold. "What binds us?" Claire demanded, her voice firm and unwavering. The shadows tightened around her, but she stood her ground. "Tell me how to save Emily." Suddenly, the air shifted, an eerie calm wrapping around her, quieting the chaotic whispers. "To break the curse," the voice echoed, deep and guttural, "you must face what lies below. Only then can the bonds be undone." Claire felt her heart skip a beat, terrified yet empowered. "I will face it," she proclaimed. She knew that confronting the darkness would require every ounce of bravery inside her. Taking a deep breath, Claire felt the shadows swirl around her, not as agents of fear, but as echoes of every child lost to the woods. She focused inward, channeling her energy, the love for Emily propelling her forward. With one leap, she dove into the swirling void beneath the altar, surrendering herself to the fate that awaited. The darkness enveloped her, thick and suffocating, but instead of fear, she felt a strangely calming embrace. It cradled her gently, mingling with memories of Emily's laughter, their late-night talks, and quiet moments of joy. "Face your demons," the voice whispered softly, transforming into something familiar, something she recognized. Not from dread, but from love. A fleeting image of Emily materialized, her bright smile illuminating the darkness. With that, Claire pushed through, breaking free from the cloak of shadows. She journeyed deeper into the memories that bound Ava, revealing not malice but sorrow. The woods, a prison of lost childhood, memory harboring pain. And there she found Ava, caught in a web of shadows and whispers, her eyes wide with longing and fear. "Help me," Ava whispered, her voice tremulous and pained. "I am lost, I won't let you drag us down," Claire said fiercely, rushing toward her. "We can break this together." The embrace of the shadows began to falter around them as Claire's determination burned bright. "I can't," Ava gasped, the shadows continuing to tug at her. Tears welled in Claire's eyes as she realized the truth. "You're trapping yourself here. Let me help you find peace." With every ounce of love and warmth, Claire reached out, wrapping her arms around Ava, and together they wove a tether of light, a bond forged from shared pain, a light that could break through. The shadows writhed, crying out in anguish as the connection fought against their grip. "No, you can't do this," they echoed, their voices morose. But Claire felt it, felt how love could dissolve the darkness, how a collective bond could restore what had been lost. With one last surge of determination, she and Ava broke free, lighting the abyss with a warmth that felt alive. Bright, blinding light erupted, cascading through the chasm, enveloping everything. The laughter of children turned into joyful choruses. The shadows fleeing into obscurity. The darkness broke apart like shards of glass, revealing a path back to the surface. "Mom!" Emily's voice rang in Clara's heart, and she felt the pull, the desire to return, unyielding. As light surged around them, Claire took Ava's hand firmly, knowing they could rewrite their fate. Together, she shouted, "Let go of the pain." And with that, they broke through the surface in a brilliant explosion of light, the cries of lost children transforming into joyful laughter. With a final breath, the darkness faded, leaving behind a hopeful silence. Claire and Emily tumbled into the clearing, hearts racing. Weeds, flowers blossoming brightly. The sun filtered through the trees as they found themselves wrapped in each other's arms. "We did it," Claire gasped, tears flowing freely. "We're okay, we're safe." But with Ava free, the air felt lighter, the curse broken. Emily stepped forward, face glowing with the sunlight, holding her mother's gaze. "You saved her, Mom." Claire smiled through her tears, joy swelling in her heart. "We saved each other." As the sunlight bathed them in warmth, the woods transformed from a place of despair to one of hope, a new beginning glowing brightly ahead. "Now we can help others too," Claire whispered, feeling the reality of their escape. And as they turned to leave the forest behind, the laughter of children echoed once more, a soothing symphony of life, unburdened and free. The curse had been broken, a new chapter dawning upon Maplewood. Claire and Emily stepped forward, hand in hand, ready to embrace whatever came next. Don't let this moment slip away. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second. You need to be part of our community.